So to do this really simple project, you're going to need your scrap piece of lumber. I'm using a 4x2. You're going to need a Forstner bit or a speed bit. I'm using a 30mm. You're going to need your tape measure, a pencil. I'm using a burner for my finish, and I'll also be using a little bit of spray lacquer just to seal it. And all you'll need in terms of tools is a means of cutting the 45° on each end and a means of drilling it. So you could easily use a drill. I'm using a drill press, but it could be done all with hand tools. Got my scrap wood. I'm going to cut a 45 at the top and a 45 at the bottom. I'm using my table saw, but you could use a hand saw or a miter saw. I'm just choosing to do it this way because it's the easiest way for me to do it. I've also double checked that my blade is at a 45 with this Trend digital angle finder. I'll leave a link to this down in the description. This really helps when doing things like this. It's not got to be precise, but it's good to use. What you want to do now is cut an opposing or parallel 45 running in the same direction, so that when it sits flat it will have a almost flat top, which looks like a flat top. Obviously be a 45 that way. I've drawn a little pencil mark, which seems silly really, but it helps your brain visualize what direction this angle is supposed to be running in. We now have a piece of wood with two angles cut at both ends. So we're using our 4x2 so we can find the centre pretty easily. I've got my combination square on 5 there, so should be roughly about here is the centre, about there, yeah. And then what I want to do is come up, I do it about 4.5 inches or 11 centimetres for us British people, but because I'm using 4x2 it's easier to work in inches. So I wasn't actually that far off. My hole should be about there. So we're just going to go over to the drill press, chuck our Forstner bit in and drill down all the way through. I've got my piece on the drill press now. What you'll want, if you're using a Forstner bit like me, is a sacrificial board underneath, because the Forstner bit has to pass all the way through the wood. So finally, after fighting with my drill press, as you can see, I should technically have enough travel because it's a 2-inch drill, but it's just about getting it right the way through, and I don't want to punch through and split the back out too much. As you can see, it's a little bit of split out, but that will be okay once we finish up. So we can move on to the next stage, which is just giving this a quick rough sand over and get to finishing. So I came to do a little test with a tester wine bottle, not a tester, but it is a wine bottle, and my hole was too small. So all I did was come back with a 35mm Forstner bit and just open that hole up a bit, and now the wine bottle passes all the way through just fine. As you can see, with the wine bottle in there now, it stands up on its own. I'm doing this freehand, and if I take the wine bottle out, it will fall over. The technique I'm using to finish this project is called So Shugiban. It's an ancient Japanese finishing technique that they used on the exterior of buildings. You preserve the wood by pretty much setting it on fire, and then I am going to seal it with some lacquer just to keep the ash from falling off. You could finish it however you like, some stain, paint, whatever suits your fancy. This is just what I chose to do because I saw it on a YouTube channel called Inspire Woodcraft, so I thought I'd give it a go, and it actually turned out alright. So I'll speed this up and you can see the finished product. So It's all burnt up now. You can see it's charred quite a bit, and now what you want to do is take sort of a hard broom and just come in and just scrape some of that residual burnt charredness off of it. And you can go back and hit other bits. So where down here in this corner I'm a little bit lighter than I'd like to be, I can come back and hit that if I want with the blowtorch. So it's just a process of getting this off and seeing where I like what I've got and where I'd like it to be a bit more charred. So you can see a lot of just open wood there, down in this bottom corner. So we just want to keep it even as possible. So I went out and bought this plastic coat spray lacquer. It's a pretty rustic project, so all it needs is a bit of clear coat. I bought the gloss one. They do it in matte and satin. Anything will do, just to seal your wood and keep people from touching it and getting char ash all over their hands. So I'm going to hit it with a few coats of this. So the finish is all dry now. It's touch dry. It will dry in about an hour, but I just wanted to finish this video off. We've got our bottle of wine. We stick that down on the counter, push our bottle of wine through and let go. So there you have it, a really easy, simple and quick Christmas gift for your loved one, your dad, your mum, just someone. It took all of 10 minutes to knock up. You don't have to finish it the way I did either. That's the bit that took the longest, was burning the wood and letting it finish. And it doesn't have to be made out of a 2x4 or a 4x2 either. You can make it out of a 1x6 or a 6x1. Just make sure the bottom is wide enough to support your wine bottle, and just test to make sure the hole's big enough, make sure the angles are right. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Mine's got dings and little cracks in it, but it's a rustic wine holder. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please come back for the next one. Leave a like and a comment and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out.
Don't!